This video is a recording from the MenProvement Podcast, brought to you by MenProvement.com, the #1 self-improvement resource strictly for men. Go there today to see all podcasts, improve yourself as a man, and get access to 3 free ebooks, including one that will help you triple your testosterone naturally. Thank you and enjoy.
You heard me. What's your motherfucking credit score, girl?
Ready to take your life to the next level? Then you're in the right place. Get all the information you need to be better, improve everything, and live life like a pro. This is the MenProvement Podcast with Sean Russell.
What's up, guys? This is episode 4 of the MenProvement Podcast, and the topic of today's show is how to improve your dating life by simply being a regular great guy. I have a very special guest in the studio today, dating expert Marc Summers of MajorLeagueDating.com. What's up, Marc? How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
Very good. Glad to have you, man. Now, what I mean about improving your dating life by being a great guy, you often hear the saying that girls don't like nice guys, you have to be an asshole to get women. Well, it's simply not true, and Marc is a testament to this. On his site, his tagline is, "I'm just a regular dude who attracts and dates hot women," which is exactly why I got him here today, to explain this process all to you guys. So I guess we'll jump in and start with your backstory, Marc. How did you get started? Were you always great with ladies?
Well, I'll tell you exactly how I got started. Yeah, I never really... Well, I mean, when I was younger, around 17 or 18, I had major problems with girls. I couldn't get them to go out with me again. Couldn't get them to call me back. Didn't know what I was doing wrong. But it really came to light when I dated this absolutely ridiculously hot girl. And when we broke up, she said something that kind of changed my life. And what it was, she said that you need to read a book on women because you need to learn what you're doing. And I wanted to be back with her so bad because I was desperate to be with her. I did exactly what she said, and it changed my life. And I decided to start teaching this stuff when we were out at a bar, and I had 3 women all over me begging to take me home. And there was about 10 guys around, and they didn't want nothing to do with any of those guys. All 3 of them were basically competing for my attention. And I ended up taking all 3 home, and somebody told me I need to write a book and start a business teaching how to do this.
So you went from getting dumped and told that you need to read a book because you don't know what you're doing with women, to leaving the bar with three hot women, and that was kind of your pivot point when you're like, wow, maybe I should do this for a living. Because how long of a period was that from your start to leaving the bar with 3 women?
I'd say about 2 years, I guess. I had dated around maybe 40 girls from the time I broke up with my ex-girlfriend to that point. So I had gotten a lot of experience. I had screwed up a lot and learned a lot of stuff. Well,
that's what it's all about, failure. I know that.
That's right.
I know that from the past 2 months, which we'll get into later. But so before your girlfriend who dumped you, were you pretty average with women, or were you a nervous guy?
I would say that my older brother is a natural with women, and I would just basically copy what he did. Even I had no idea what I was doing, but I would just do what I saw him do, and for some reason it worked, but not as good as it worked for him. I just had a little bit of an idea of what I was doing. So basically I was getting lucky when I was dating girls. It wasn't due to anything I knew that I was doing. It was just basically luck. And I really wasn't, I was really dating women who were kind of bottom of the barrel. I mean, except for my ex-girlfriend, but I was just dating the women I could get. I really wasn't trying to get the top-notch women.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel you. So the last time we talked, from what I understand, your whole style of dating is all about kind of being a natural, like, great, fun guy, which is why I brought you on for this podcast. So could you kind of, just explain what kind of style you teach in your book and on your website? Is, like direct versus indirect, like cocky versus like nice? Go into that for a little bit.
I guess I could start by saying that I don't really like fake people, and women deal with fake guys every single day. Women meet a guy and this guy's putting on this great personality, and she knows that he's full of shit. Like, she knows this guy is just acting this way because he wants to look like a nice guy so he could try to get in my pants. And I have a section in my book called Your Natural Default Setting. And what that is imagine you're sitting at home watching TV, just hanging out with one of your friends. Your personality, the things that come out of your mouth, the way you look, the way you stand, that's your natural default setting. And what most of us do is when a woman walks in the room or we get around a woman, all of a sudden our body language changes, the way we talk changes, the way we look changes. We essentially put on an act in front of women. Well, what I teach is when we put on an act, we're trying to be this guy that is cooler, funner, and more attractive than who we naturally think we are. And I teach that you can change yourself to naturally become this guy that you want, that is more attractive to women. When you're just naturally being yourself, you will be this guy. And it's all just changing your habits and really paying attention to the way you talk, the way you stand, the way you behave, and working on it so much that it just becomes part of who you are. So when you meet women, you don't have to put on an act. You don't have to act like somebody different. You're just yourself. And women are like, wow, this is a really cool guy.
Yeah, that's actually amazing that you say that, man, because I don't know if you guys back home have been reading the website, but I wrote this Newbies Guide to Picking Up Girls because I've been pretty much diving into this whole getting good with women journey myself, which is how I met Marc, and he became a contributor on MenProvement, and we've been kind of going back and forth. But yeah, like you say, the best way to be is to be at that your natural state that you are. But it's so hard because when you're around women, you freeze up and everything changes, you know? So I think for me, and, you know, most of the people that I've talked to and guys that I've helped, the only way to get about this and to get around this is to just go out there and, you know, get experience and just approach and be nervous as hell and, you know, shit your pants for a month or two. And eventually you do truly start to become natural with women. Is that how you went about it? Because that's pretty much been my life in the past 2 months.
That's exactly how it works is, the more you do it, just like working on a car, throwing a football, shooting a basketball, don't matter what it is. At first, you're going to be nervous. You're going to feel dumb. You're going to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. But the more you do it so much to where it's like, yeah, this is no big deal. I've done it a million times. No big deal. So like now when I talk to women, I've met so many women that I just walk up to women and just like, hey, what's up? I just talk to them like I've known them 10 years. I don't really give a crap what they think. Sometimes I get nervous, sometimes I don't, but it's all just experience. Once you've interacted with enough women, you begin to realize that 99% of women aren't that different from each other when it comes to first meeting them. And you can get to the point where you can basically predict exactly almost what they're going to say and do around you when you first meet them. So that's real comforting.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean when I got you, you know, when I wanted to do this podcast topic about getting girls by being a nice guy. You know, it wasn't about, you know, being that nice guy who's super needy and like trying to impress women, you know, like, let me buy you this, let me buy you that. No, it's becoming comfortable enough with yourself and in front of women that you're not putting on an act. You're not trying to be an asshole. You're not negging them, as people say, but you're just confident and you're just cool. And you go up and you say, hey, you know, you look great. I wanted to come and say hi to you. And it works better than anything else out there. And you can be a nice guy and you can get beautiful women. You don't have to be an asshole.
Yeah, the type of nice guy that, you know, I'm used to being is I am nice to women. I don't kiss their ass. I don't buy them gifts. I don't buy them drinks. I don't buy them flowers. I'm just genuinely nice to them. I'm just, hey, what's up? How was your day? Just talking to them. But not like saying, hey, how was your day? But I really don't give a crap how their day was. If You know, if I ask them how their day was, I'm generally interested in just knowing what they did that day. And I'm nice to the point where women start getting shitty, or they start acting bratty, or they start doing things that they get away with other guys. As soon as they start doing that, I, in a gentlemanly manner, tell them, hey, that's not cool. Don't do that. I don't like that. That stuff doesn't fly with me with other people, and I'd appreciate it if you don't do that around me. And what that does is it makes her attraction for you just skyrocket, because she's thinking, wow, I've never had a guy been able to locate his balls and be this honest with me about what he wants. And that's awesome. And the first time I did it, I'll tell you what, it scared the hell out of me. I thought I was going to get slapped, because somebody told me, they were like, look, man, you need to be more honest. If a girl does something you don't like, you need to tell her right there to her face you don't like it. But they said, don't be an asshole about it. Just be cool about it. So I did it, and I was so scared. And all she did was, she just said, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. And I noticed within the next 20 minutes, her attraction for me like doubled and tripled. And she was wanting to leave and go hang out at her house. It was insane. And yeah.
Yeah, well, you mean it sounds like it's all about, not being
needy, a pansy.
Yeah, not being needy, not being outcome dependent, but you're just truly, you know who you are, and you're going up and you're like, hey, this is a beautiful girl. I want to get to know her. You're worthy, you know you are, and you're displaying that to her. And she's like, wow, this guy's not trying to kiss my ass like other guys. He's choosing me. And they can, when you make that shift, I think I've started to make that shift already. I've only been doing this for about a month, but it's so powerful. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's basically just be a cool guy. I talk to women exactly the way like I'm talking to you right now, the way I talk to my friends. I don't talk to women any different. A lot of men, they'll change their voice tone. They'll change their attitude. The way I'm talking right now, it's exactly the way I talk to women. And I'm just a cool guy. But the thing is, I don't let women take advantage of me, and I don't let women walk all over me. And they know that. Like, as soon as they even begin to try it, I'm like, don't do that. That's not cool. And they know that they can do it with 90% of men. But when they meet me, they're like, okay, this guy knows what's up.
Yeah.
And he's not stupid.
Yeah. And to clarify to like everyone listening that, it's easy to say, be this cool guy, don't be nervous, blah, blah, blah. It's easy to say, but literally, no matter how many podcasts you listen to and no matter how many books you read, the only way to do this is to go out and approach 1,000 women. Like, it's literally the only way. It's like you said, throwing a football. The only way you can learn to do it is to throw a football. At first, You're going to be nervous. Like, I've been doing this for a month, and my first approach, I quickly complimented a girl and ran away. Like, and then I got blown out like the next like 2 days. I was terrible. But now,
that's funny.
Yeah, now I can go out. And I walk up and I'm genuine. I tell a girl she looks great. I wanted to come meet you. We have a conversation, and I'm getting 3 out of 5 numbers of women I approach, and I feel great afterwards. It's an amazing feeling. And most guys have never tried it, and they just keep reading. But really, give yourself permission to be terrible at this, and go out and just try to be genuine. And at first, you're going to be nervous, but eventually, you're going to start to get it, and it's amazing. It's really life-changing.
You made me think of 2 good things. Is you can read how to throw a football for 6 months and never touch a football, and then get some kid who's never touched a football or read about a football in his life, and you can stand side by side with them, and both of y'all will throw the football just as horribly first time. It doesn't matter how much you read about it. And second is, the most successful people in any walk of life aren't the ones who never made mistakes and never screwed up, but it's the ones who screwed up the most. Because every time you screw up, you learn a lesson from it. So say you walk up to a woman, you do something stupid. Well, you're like, well, I'm never going to do that shit again. I know better than that now. And you just keep learning that lesson over and over and over with different things. Before you know it, you're the guy who's better than everybody with girls, but you've made more mistakes than anybody can even imagine. And that's my story.
Yeah, and rejection.
No, you go. I have done the stupidest things with women, like just ridiculous, dumb things. But I know now not to do it, And it's no big deal looking back about it. It's actually funny. I love telling people stories about the stupid things I've done because they just laugh about it.
Yeah. Well, let's hear one of those then.
Well, one of them was I went out with the girl one time and we had an excellent time. We were holding hands and I kissed her. I kissed her at the end of the night and stuff, and I just never heard from her again. And I went to her house and without calling, which is a no-no. And her car was there. So I knocked on her door. She didn't answer. And I sat out in my car and called her. She didn't answer. I came back the next day. And eventually, about 4 days later, I was driving by being a creeper. And I saw her coming out, and I parked my car and ran up to her. What's the matter? Everything went so great. And she was like, don't ever talk to me again. You are a weird psycho. Don't ever do that. And it wasn't my intention to be a weird psycho. I just didn't know any better because I didn't understand the way it looked from her eyes. It made me look like a crazy person. In my eyes, I was just a guy who's trying to win over her affection and approval.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I feel you. It's kind of like
that was really dumb.
It hijacks your brain almost sometimes. When guys are texting girls over and over, and then you look back at it and you're like, "Why the fuck was I doing that?"
Yeah,
shit?
You're like, "What the hell was I thinking? I look like an idiot."
So yeah, that like your whole point brings me to like the whole point of some people being scared of rejection is to just like fucking own rejection, because you're gonna get rejected. No matter how good you are, you're gonna get rejected. But it gets to a point where like you never get really rejected because the girl doesn't know who you are. You don't care afterwards. You're doing it for you. And rejection, it becomes funny almost, and that it's just even more powerful. I know you told me a story about you and your friend. You used to go out and you would try to get rejected, right?
Yeah, we called it. We'd say, let's go out and get rejected.
Yeah.
And what's funny is when this is the way your brain works. Your brain, it's something called wanting it tax. When you want something too bad, you actually drive it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So, me and my buddy were always getting rejected. So I told him, I said, you know what? Every time we get rejected, we're not trying to get rejected. I said, how about let's go out tonight and let's see how stupid we can be. And let's see who can come up with let's see who could get rejected the most. And let's see who could get the better rejection story. Well, it's funny because I think he only got rejected like once that night and I didn't get rejected at all. And I was trying to get rejected. And the way that works is I just quit giving a shit. That's what it came down to. When I was getting rejected, I was caring too much about what the girl thought. I walked in those bars and I didn't give a flying fuck what anybody thought. And women were just lighting up like a firecracker and calling their friends over. And I had a group of 5 girls just making them all laugh, just act like an idiot. And I didn't understand what was going on. And after me and my buddy thought about it, the first couple of nights, we talked about it and thought about it. We were like, you know what it is? It's that we really don't care. We're trying to get rejected and we can't get rejected. When we want to get approval, we get rejected. It's not working the way we want it to. Mm-hmm. So it made me realize that rejection, women can see it all over your face. The minute you walk up to them, they can see in your eyes whether you care what they think or not. Like you just have those desperate eyes. Like your eyes are the windows to your soul. Yeah. When you are desperate, everything that's going on in your brain reflects not only in your eyes, but your body language. Mm-hmm. So that night, I just didn't give a shit. I wanted to get rejected. That desperate look in my eye just completely went away. And my body language just was like, I just don't care. And women were just one after another, just laughing and having a good time with me. And women were coming by and smacking my butt. And I had just barely talked to them. And I was just like, man, what is going on here? So yeah, we used to play a game called Let's Get Rejected. And we actually laugh about it now because we still do it, but we know we're not going to get rejected. And now we actually say, let's see the dumbest thing we can walk up and say or do and see if we get away with it, Yeah,
absolutely. No, it's a powerful thing. And it's kind of like, it's kind of hard to grasp or your head around it. But like, imagine going out. And it's the guys who go out and they see a girl and they're completely dependent on the outcome. They're like, oh my God, I want this girl. Exactly. I want to sleep with this girl so bad. Meanwhile, there's a guy who is not trying and that's the one who the girl wants. So it's almost like you can't even like try to not try. You literally just have to over time, like start to not be dependent on the outcome of
You just have to
each
stop
scenario.
caring.
Yeah, you have to not be dependent on the outcome. And again, the only way to do that is through repetition.
Yeah.
So really, I want to jump into some really like practical applications that people can go out there and do. And number one is you have to go out there and start approaching women, just start approaching women tomorrow. I go out to the mall. It's kind of embarrassing. I just walk around the mall right now and I just approach women every single day because I really want to get good at this. I'm trying to improve my life and it's what it takes. But, don't be embarrassed. It's a beautiful thing because right now I'm probably in the top 90% of guys who can approach women after a month just because I went out and made it happen. And like now I'm teaching my friends to do it and they love it. So yeah, go out and approach. But let's say you see a girl walking down the street, beautiful girl, short skirt, tan skin. What do you do, man? What's your go-to approach? Walk us through an interaction.
I will, I naturally say stupid things all day long to people. And I've had one that works pretty good, and it depends on what mood I'm in. And I'll just walk up to a random girl and I'll be like, hey, and and they'll think I'm real serious. And I'll be like, what's your motherfucking credit score? And they'll just start laughing. And they're like, what?
Yeah, because it's ridiculous.
Like, you heard me. What's your motherfucking credit score, girl? And they're just like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I said, yeah, but you're laughing. And I said, no, seriously, what's your credit score? And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm just kidding. And then, they'll be like, you serious? You want to know my credit score? And I'll be like, look, if we're going to date, I got to know what your credit score is. I got to know if we could buy nice things. That's what I'll start talking to them about. And we'll get into a full conversation about stuff like that. They don't even know my name. Don't know how old I am. And I'll just be like, look, I don't have a job. I'm lazy. I still live with my mom. My mom can't even get me to mow the lawn. I need a girlfriend who has a good credit score. And, so we could get some nice things. And she's like, who said I'm going to be your girlfriend? And I said, well, who says the choice is up to you?
Yeah, man. That's hilarious.
I'm like, you know what? Once you get to know me, you're going to be begging me to be your boyfriend. And they're like, oh, whatever. They're like, you are cocky. And I'm like, no, I got a lot of wiener, but I wouldn't call myself cocky. Just say stupid things, Yeah,
it just shows, man. There's no magical secret. If you're trying to find the magical secret of what to say to girls, you're never going to find it because it doesn't matter what you say.
It doesn't exist. There's no perfect line to say to a woman, guys.
What you say.
Yeah.
And it's important. It's important to say, you need to do you. You need to find eventually what works for your personality because you do this kind of ridiculous stuff and that's hilarious, But for me, I'm a different guy, obviously, a different human being. For me, what works is I go up, I'll run past the girl and I'll stop her and I'll say, hey, sorry, this is completely random, but I just saw you over there and I had to come tell you how great you look in a very genuine way. And I do it naturally. And then it jumps into a, what are you up to today? You look fantastic. Do you have a boyfriend? Blah, blah, blah. And that's what works for me. And that's what works for you. The point is, all that matters is that you're confident and that you're not dependent on the outcome. You're enjoying yourself. You're amusing yourself. You're doing it for you. And the only way to get there is to approach every single day. So that's great. It's a great point.
There is kind of a little secret, and the secret is if you are having a good time talking to her, that's all that matters. Because if you walk up to her and it feels like you're dying, more than likely it's not going to work because she's going to notice something's not cool. But, if I walk up to a woman and say something that's so ridiculous that I have to actually stop talking to her because I'm laughing so much, she's going to automatically have a good time because laughing and smiling and all that stuff is contagious. So when you walk up to a woman and you're just naturally having a good time, it doesn't matter what you're saying to her. If you're laughing and smiling and she's laughing and smiling, she's going to forget about what you even talked about 10 minutes before.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's incredible. It really is. So that's great for the street. And I've been working on the street, but I have a lot of trouble in the bars and the clubs. I got good at the street and then I started going out with my friends in bars and clubs. And as soon as I walk in there, I'm like, bam, I shut down because it's a different world. So but I got a little bit better. We'll talk about that after. But what do you do, when you're in the bar setting?
When I'm in bar setting, there's many things. If there's a girl standing at the bar ordering a drink or something, I'll deliberately stand too close to her until she elbows me, and then I'll act like I'm hurt and tell her I'm going to sue her. Or else I'll let a girl bump me. I'll let her bump me, and I'll just look at her real serious, and I'll be like, watch it, punk, or I'm going to whoop your ass outside. Just like, just something stupid, and I'm like, look. Or I'll just look at her real serious, and she'll be like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And I'll be like, do me and you got to go to the back and hash this out? And she's like, oh no. And I'm like, don't be a pervert. I meant fight. Don't be a pervert. You're not getting in my pants. Yeah. Or like if a girl's playing pool, I'll deliberately walk too close to where she hits me with her pool stick, and I'll just act overly dramatic and stupid and being like, you know what? You got to buy me a beer. I'm going to have a bruise now. I said, I probably got a broken rib. You got to buy me a beer. I'm going to go home and cry now and all this stuff. And I'm going to need to call you on the phone and cry to you because I'm going to be in pain all night. Just anything stupid literally anything stupid that comes to my mind, I say it. And I've never had a girl be like, get away from me. You are an idiot. Yeah. Most of the time they are like, dude, you are insane. What is your name? And I'm like, Mark. And they're like, well, I'm Becca. Nice to meet you. They're like, you are crazy. They're like, all the guys in here are boring and you're over here just being goofy and stuff. They're like, you got a girlfriend? I'm like, nope. And they're like, whatever, you have a girlfriend, you're a player. And I'm like, you know what? I got a wife and 9 kids and I'm just looking for a side piece. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I think I need to change the name of the podcast from How to Get Girls Being a Nice Guy to How to Get Girls Being Absolutely Ridiculous. That's great though, man. That's hilarious.
Well, during all of it, I'm a perfect gentleman.
Exactly.
I'm really nice to them. I'm not rude. I don't go, slapping their ass like 10 seconds after I meet them. Or
the point is you're being yourself,
Yeah, I'm just being cool. That's all it is.
Yeah, and it, as people say, just be yourself. It's great. It's great, but when yourself is nervous, it's not going to work. So you got to be yourself for a long time until yourself becomes confident and relaxed.
Yeah, you just have to be accustomed to talking and interacting with women. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get.
Yeah, it's really amazing. All right, man, that's hilarious. That's awesome. So you say on your site that you're just a regular dude who gets real hot women. So, do you dress like a regular dude? What do you wear when you go out?
I wear sandals, board shorts, like surfing shorts, and just t-shirts with different things on them. It doesn't even have to be funny, as long as just a t-shirt that I like. And I wear backwards baseball caps all the time.
Wow,
that's it.
So what you're telling me is you don't get a spray tan.
I don't.
You don't have a tight V-neck, and you still get girls. That's amazing. I don't believe it.
Oh, and my shirts are wrinkled. I don't iron my shirts. I don't do nothing. And I've literally gone to the bar after work. I'm an aircraft mechanic, part-time. And, I wear white t-shirts to work sometimes, and they're literally covered in grease. And I'll go to the bar and I'll walk up and start talking to girls. And you would think that I'm wearing a $10,000 suit, because the women, as long as you are cool and fun, women really don't care what you're wearing. And they might ask you, why are you so dirty? And I'll just be like, oh, I fell down outside in the parking lot. Exactly. Just something stupid. I'll be like, oh, some old lady tripped me while I was walking in here and I got all dirty.
Yeah, women don't like guys for the nice car or the nice shirt. They like guys for the way that those guys usually act. Rich guys act really. They don't even. If you want to go deep into it, looks really don't matter. Women like guys who look good because of the way they act when they know they look good. When they're not insecure, they're confident. It's all based on their looks. But in reality, if an ugly dude were to act the exact same way, which is easy, with practice, and many guys do it, you'll have the same exact results. It's amazing.
I see beautiful women with ugly dudes all the time. And I used to say, how the hell did he get her? But now I'm like, I got to go meet that guy. And I'll go meet him. And sure enough, he's one of the coolest guys I've ever met. And I'm like, yeah, I can perfectly understand how he was able to get her.
Yeah, man.
Just a cool guy.
So you're just a regular dude. You wear regular clothes. You have no special lines. You just go out. You have a great time. You're natural. So what are these girls looking like that you've been dating over the years?
Oh, I like to work out, and they've got to be in shape. I don't date chunky girls. They've got to be pretty. If they are beautiful, but they have a shitty personality, they don't stand a chance with me. Like, and I'll tell them right to their face. I'll be like, you know what? You are so pretty, and it's such a waste that you have such a terrible personality. And they'll be like, that's not nice. And I'll be like, well, you know what? You had a chance to be really nice and genuine, and you've been acting ugly. And I just go for women who are genuinely nice girls, and they don't look like they get around. Like, if they are overly friendly, like they'll sleep with anybody, I don't really waste my time on them, because you're looking to get herpes or craps. So I go for girls who are in great shape, they dress nice, and they carry themselves very well. I'm not overly picky, but they have to be very attractive. They have to be, I usually go for girls with long hair, pretty eyes, and rare in very good shape.
So yeah, essentially you have your pick of the litter because you're one of the only guys out there who's actually being genuine in himself.
Yeah. A good story of my success is, I'm not going to mention any names just for their own sake, but I ended up dating this world famous supermodel. Not only a supermodel, but she's an actress and a singer, and she's very famous all over the world, and she's well known. Well, we ended up dating, and I learned that supermodels and famous people they have the same issues, the same problems as we all do. Well, I ended up dumping her. Let's put it that way. I ended up dumping her, and she was telling me, you're a nobody, you're not famous, you're not this, you're not that. Well, she ended up stalking me, begging me to date her again. And I told her, no, why don't you go date one of your famous NFL players, or go date one of your famous actors from TV, go do that. And this woman was nonstop blowing up my phone. I had to block her on Facebook. I had to block her phone number, and I didn't change my number, but I got close to it. Well, she, at the end of it, she said, my friend is there in San Antonio, Texas, and she's having trouble with her BMW. And I know you're a mechanic, so can you take a look at it for her? So I said, yeah, sure. Well, her friend ended up coming over. I looked at her car, and she was very charming and all that stuff. So we ended up going out. I ended up finding out that her friend's dad used to be the president of a big Asian country, let's put it that way. And she was loaded with money. Like, we would go out, and she would say she has to buy a purse. Well, any normal girl is going to just go buy a $50, $100 purse at the most. Yeah. This girl dropped $80,000 on a purse and didn't even blink. And I was like shitting my pants. I was like, and she was like, do you want anything? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No. That kind of money made me nervous. I didn't know what to do. So I told her no. Well, I ended up coming to Louisiana for a contract I was working on. And I ended up getting real mad at her, and we got into an argument. And when I came home, my brother called me. He said, there's been a car in the driveway for the past couple of days. I didn't know if it was yours. I said, no. Well, I came home, and she had bought me a $50,000 Infiniti that I had been looking at. And she was mad. I made her take it back to the dealership. Now, most of you guys are like, are you fucking crazy? Why would you do that? It's because, once again, I'm a normal, regular guy. I don't play that stupid shit with people. You're not going to buy my attention. You're not going to buy my affection. So she was mad because I made her take the car back to the dealership, and she lost like $18,000 because she drove it off of the lot. And she was like, I can't believe you made me take the car back. And I'm like, well, I don't want it. You should have kept it. And she was like, I lost $18,000 because you made me take the car back. But that's the kind of success I've had, that women will do almost anything for me. They will stalk me to the end of the earth. They will buy me cars. And it's all because I'm just a normal, regular, nice guy. I treat them well.
Yeah.
And, I make them feel things that other guys don't make them feel, which is basically, if you were to take my book, Ace Your Dates, and sum it up, and ask me, Mark, sum your book up into one sentence. What is this book going to do? This book is going to make women feel things for you that they don't feel for other guys.
Yeah, and you
Simple
told me,
as that.
I remember you telling me that most of these women that you still keep in contact with all of them, and a lot of them would drop their husbands on the altar if you came back and told them, like, hey, let's date. You know, you just create this lasting rapport and lasting emotional connection to them.
We keep a good relationship,
powerful,
and there's such an emotional connection on their end for me that a lot of them have gotten married, and they are like, I will dump my husband in a heartbeat to get back with you. And a lot of them, not a lot of them, but a couple of them have gotten married and had children, and they are like, I don't care. I will give up everything I have to be with you. And
that's great, man.
It has nothing to do with the women being emotionally screwed up. It has to do with, it is possible to make women feel such a deep attraction for you that they will give their firstborn child just to be with you. Yeah. And it's very possible. And you learn that stuff in my book.
It's incredible. So, all right, before we jump into, the outro, you brought up this insane story of you leaving the bar with three women. I gotta hear this story from start to finish, and I think everyone else is probably pretty interested in it.
All right. It was a couple of years ago when Golden Boy De La Hoya was boxing. I think he was boxing Pacquiao a couple of years ago, and
I think I was watching that fight.
Yeah, and I went to the bar by myself because my coworkers said we're gonna go watch it at the bar. I said okay, cool, and I had slept. I got home from work, and the fight was gonna be like at 9 or something. I got home and I took like 2 or 3 hour nap. I woke up, put on a wrinkled t-shirt, put on sandals and shorts, and I had a hat on. No, I actually had a button-up shirt that had holes in it, like from cigarettes. And I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to go watch the fight. And I showed up, and usually I have a bad habit of everywhere I go, I don't really look around at people. I just mind my business. And I ran into my friend Ruben there, who I hadn't seen in years. He's from Panama, good guy. And he was with his wife and his wife's friend. And he goes, hey, take a look at my wife's friend. And I'm like, man, she's cute. He goes, you need to go talk to her, man. She likes you. And I'm like, okay, let me get my beer. So I went and got my beer, and I just minded my business. I didn't even bother talking to her. And I had a lot. I used to smoke cigarettes, so I had a cigarette, but I had a lighter in my pocket. But I was like, you know what? Screw it. I went up to her and I said, hey, you got a lighter? And she was like, yeah. She gave me and I lit my cigarette, and I was just like, so what's up? I was like, Ruben, huh? And she was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I used to work with him and all this stuff. Just started talking to her. Well, I've been talking to her for about 10 minutes, and these two, it was funny because she was a brunette and a redhead and a blonde walked in, both of them with fake tits, beautiful bodies, walked in and sat down, and they kept looking in my direction while I was talking to this girl. And on a side note, when other women see you talking to an attractive woman, your attractiveness to them skyrockets by like 100%. Yeah. So because women want what they can't have. If they see a guy sitting by himself and they see a guy talking to another girl, they'll be more interested in the guy talking to the girl. So what happened was these girls kept staring. And for some reason, I still don't know to this day, while she was in the middle of a sentence and while I was talking to her, I just put my hand up at those girls and just made a hand signal like, come here. So both of those girls got up, walked straight over to us, and I just kept talking to this girl. I didn't even say hi to them. I just like put my hand out, like telling them to hold on. So I told them to hold on, and they were just standing there, and I just kept talking to this girl. And then I turned away from her, looked straight at those girls, and I said, hey, what's your name? And one of them was like Becca or whatever her name was, the blonde. And then the redhead, she was like, oh, my name's Rachel. And I'm like, cool, this is Diana. I said, nice for you girls to meet each other. I said, I've been over here flirting with Diana. She's been all over me. We need some company. And the girls were all laughing, and I had just met this girl, Diana, a couple minutes ago. I always accuse women of flirting with me, even if they're not. Even if they're mad at me, I tell them, stop flirting with me. But So I'm like, it's nice for your girls to meet each other. I said, you know what? I got a great idea. And they're like, what? I said, let's play a game. And they're like, okay. Name? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I'm Gunther. Nice to meet you. And they're like, Gunther? And I'm like, yeah, Gunther. And they're like laughing. And I'm like, I can't believe you guys are laughing at my name. That's totally fucked up. I was trying to be nice to you guys. And they're like, oh no, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. My name's not Gunther. And then I made up like another ridiculous name. I was like, my name is Carlos Jorge Estevez. And they're like, really? And I'm like, no, it's not. And they're like, what's your name? And I'm like, Mark. And they're like, oh, nice to meet you, Mark. And I'm like, if you guys forget my name, you got to go buy me a beer. And they're like, okay. And they're like, if you forget our names, you got to buy us a beer. And I'm like, well, this makes it fun because there's 3 of y'all and there's, so who do you think's going to win? And they're like, us. And I'm like, all right, so I'm going to try not to forget y'all's names. And I'm like, if y'all can do me a favor and tell y'all's boobs to stop staring at me, that'd be awesome. So they're laughing and all that stuff. And we're just talking. And they were telling me like one of their ex-boyfriends is like a UFC fighter and the other one's ex-boyfriend is a kickboxer and their ex-boyfriends are best friends. And they just broke up with them like a month or 2 ago and they were visiting from out of town, all this stuff. And one of them forgot my name. So I just pointed to the bar. I said, you know what? My beer's getting a little low, Rachel. How about you go get me a beer? And they were just like laughing, you know. Eventually, they had enough drinks where we were all, and I was just acting like an idiot the whole damn time. Just being totally stupid, just saying the stupidest stuff you could think of. And I was telling them like, hey, smile where you want daddy to put it. And they're all just laughing. And I'm like, man, you really want it. You opened your mouth all the way. And they're like, oh, shut up. Just all this stupid stuff. So they started drinking. And Diane was like, wow, you have really nice boobs. Are those real or store-bought? And both of them were like, oh, we got ours done together and all this stuff. And she was like, I want to see them. And they were like, I don't know, not in a bar. And I told them, I was like, you know what? I don't hang out with pansies. Y'all need to quit being chicken shits. Just pull them out, you know? And sure enough, they pulled them out and they were grabbing my hands. And eventually they were all like sticking their hands down my pants. And the fight had already started and everybody from work was showing up. And there was all the guys walking up trying to talk to them and they just weren't having it. And they were all like, oh, I see you met my coworker, Mark. And they're like, yeah, we did. And they're like, well, my name's Alonzo. And they're like, nice to meet you, Alonzo. And then they'll just like completely ignore the guys. So they eventually were, they were like, we're not really into boxing. They were like, where do you live? And I was like, I live about a couple miles away. And they're like, do you have anything to drink over there? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, let's go over there. And I'm like, damn it. I was like, I really want to see the fight. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, if y'all just hang out and be cool, after the fight's over, then we'll go. So they were like, okay. And what I did that on purpose because if I would have been like, okay, let's go right now, then it would have made me look desperate. But I told them, I was like, nah, I want to watch the fight. I said, y'all hang out, be cool. Let me watch the fight. So the whole time they thought it was funny that while I'm watching the fight, they were getting down on their knees and like biting my dick through their jeans, through my pants and all this stuff. And they were trying to see if they could distract me from watching the fight. And they were just having a good time with this, thinking it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And all the guys from work were just looking at me like, man, you are an asshole. So what happened was at the end of the fight, I told him, I said, okay, let me finish my beer. But at that time, they were already like literally grabbing me and dragging me outside. So I left my tab open at the bar and everything and took them all back to my house. And about 3 hours later, brought them all back. Everybody was still there. My coworker's wife told him, I don't want you ever hanging out with that Marc Summers guy, ever. She was like, I don't want to ever see you hanging out with this guy. And he told me the next day at work, he was like, my wife don't want me hanging out with you no more, man. He goes, and I was like, dude, I did not plan that. That just all happened. And then another guy came up and he was all, dude, I will pay you $1,000 to teach me to do what you did last night. And then, so the story ran around work that, Marc Summers took 3 girls home and everybody was like, bullshit. But there was so many people. They were like, no, it's true. We saw it. And they were like, what the girls look like? They were like, they were smoking hot. And these girls were sending me pictures and stuff, So I was showing people pictures and they're like, oh my God. They were like, you must have paid them. I'm like, no, I didn't do anything. I was just hanging out with them. So that's
awesome,
kind of, and the same guy, he was like, dude, you need to write a book or you need to start teaching this stuff. So that's pretty much how it went. It was a whole lot of fun. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and now you're here, man. You wrote the book, You started the website, and now you're on the podcast. That's awesome. That's an awesome story, man. It's legendary, seriously. Inspiring. But yeah, so your book. Let's talk about your book, man. Where can people find your book? What's it called? What's it about?
It's on MajorLeagueDating.com. It's called Ace Your Dates: How to Stand Out and Know Exactly What You're Doing with Women in Dating. Basically, it goes over, why women behave the way they behave. Why do we behave the way we behave? And it talks about how everything we do is about habits. And if you can learn to start changing your habits, like a lot of us have unattractive habits that if women see us doing it, they're just like, yeah, I'm not interested in that dude. But if you become conscious of your habits and start paying attention to what you're doing every day to the point to where it becomes just natural, that whenever you get around women, you don't have to turn this switch on that most of us turn on a switch. When we get around women, they're like, okay, I got to turn on the cool side of me.
Yeah.
Well, you eventually work on being this cool guy so much that there's no switch to turn on. It's always on from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. That's who you are. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go back. So the book talks about a lot of inner game because I'm not a big fan of pickup artists. Well, if you're an honest pickup artist or whatever you call it, that's okay. But most pickup artists, they use the rehearsed lines like, hey, can I get your opinion? My friend's girlfriend just dumped him and she said it was because of this. What do you think? And in all reality, that story is complete bullshit. They're just trying to find a way to talk to the girl instead of walking up and just being like, hey, what's y'all's names? Yeah. And showing their intentions. In my book, I literally detail everything. I talk about why you should stop complaining. I talk about why you should control your emotions, how to be more fun, how to stop being boring. I have a full section on not being predictable. I have a whole section on how to be funnier, what you should watch to be funnier, because I go through how I became funnier and the stuff I learned from and all that. I talk about one of the biggest things that changed my dating life was I quit masturbating. This is a little off subject and I'll just make it quick. But and like every guy, I masturbated on a regular basis, but I wanted to see what would happen if I stopped. And I noticed that when I stopped doing it, my results with women got a lot better and it was ridiculous. And I was like, okay, I think I'm on to something here. So what I did was I wrote an entire section of my book about why you should stop masturbating and the effects it has on your brain and how it affects your results with women.
Yeah, man. I'm probably one of the 6 guys in the world who doesn't watch porn anymore. So
yeah,
I'm telling you, it fucking works, man. It's life changing. It really is.
And what else is in my book? I talk about why most guys right now, if you're listening to this, you can understand when I say the words bitch shield, you know exactly what I mean. It means when you walk up to a woman and she just acts like a bitch to get you away from her. I talk about why women do this and what you can do to overcome it. I talk about how to make women think you're sexy when you talk to them. I talk about how to get women to chase you instead of you chasing them. I talk about how women have an attraction switch. Guys who are naturally good with women, they can walk up and say, just talk to a woman for a minute or two. And all of a sudden, this woman is like insanely attracted to this guy. and she doesn't have any idea what he did. But I talk about in the book how to flip her attraction switch and keep it on as long as you want it. I have a lot of simple tricks and mindsets to overcome shyness and nervousness and fear, because shyness and nervousness and fear are the biggest things stopping you from walking up and talking to that woman spend the rest of your life with, and other guys would be like, that lucky bastard, how did he get her?
But yeah, but for me, and probably for most people, there is no way to get over that shyness and fear until you do it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so you're going to have to be shy and nervous your first couple of approaches, your first probably 50 approaches, and it's going to hurt. You know, it's going to feel like shit. You're not going to want to do it. You might even be sweating, but you have to do it.
Yeah, my book talks about how to overcome that stuff, and basically it talks about experience. You got to get experience. Yeah. I talk about the things that annoy women, because I personally know the things that annoy women because I've done it. All the annoying stuff, I've done it. How to be one of the funniest guys she's ever met. And I talk about that. I talk about meeting some really funny guys that are cool and hang out with them. I talk about, and I've talked about before, how to get women to like you just by being yourself, by your natural default setting.
Just by being a great guy, yeah.
When women meet you, they're just like, there's something up with this. Yeah. When women meet you, they're just like, hey, there's something different about this guy. Absolutely. And I get that all the time. Almost 90% of the women I meet, I talk to them for a few minutes and they're like, you're different. Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm different? Because I'm short? Just being stupid.
And seriously, man. And I'm telling you guys, this stuff works. I've read Marc's book and I've applied the stuff that he teaches, and I also have learned from other sources like daygame.com, but I've been doing this, for about 6 weeks, and I was terrible to start. I couldn't approach a girl. I only used to get wasted and then end up getting girls. And I used to get girls because I was the captain of the soccer team and everything. But, once I graduated college and everything, I pretty much was starting from scratch. And I'm telling you, this stuff works. There's no pickup artist program you could read about, doing magical things and NLP and crazy shit that's going to be more powerful than getting out of your house and going up and approaching 40-year-old women, 18-year-old girls, like hot girls in groups. Yeah, girls sitting down eating lunch, like girls with other guys. Just if it makes you feel uncomfortable and you're like, shit, I can't do it. Oh man, doing it is like so powerful. And eventually you become a different person, and it echoes out throughout your entire life. You become more confident. You're going to be more confident at work. You're going to see the world in a different way, and you're going to feel powerful. You really are. So this stuff, stuff is really powerful. It's great.
Yeah. My book talks about an inner power. Once you become good with women, you develop this inner power.
Yeah, man.
That it's hard to explain, but you develop this inner power that you feel radiating from you when you talk to women, and women feel this power. They're like, wow, there's something with this dude,
I know, man. So where
I've had,
I gotta,
you said talking about groups of women. Usually if I see two girls sitting by themselves, like at a restaurant or something, I'll literally go sit with them and just start talking to them.
Yeah, man. It's powerful. It's powerful stuff. Where can, I got to wrap this up here. We're about to approach on the hour mark. I could talk to you for hours. We'll get you back on here another time, and I'm sure everyone's going to want to hear, because this was a lot of fun, man. This was hilarious. Where can everyone find you, and where can they find your book?
You can find me on majorleaguedating.com, and the book is called Ace Your Dates. You just go to products, and it's there. I created an ebook, and I created a workbook that goes with the ebook, and it has a bunch of questions in there that you ask yourself. And as you ask yourself these questions, you answer these questions as you read the book. And it's going to give you insight into your own brain, into your own behavior. And you're going to start learning things about yourself that you never knew. And it's going to help you have success with women 10 times faster than if you were just to read the book and you didn't have anything to follow. I also created an audio book. So if you don't got the time to sit down and read, you can actually listen to the audiobook, whether you're working out, whether you're driving in your car, if you're sitting at work with headphones, if you're walking around with headphones, you can listen to the audiobook. And it's the entire book.
I think that's really powerful, man, because I listen to podcasts like all day, every single day, man. And I'm always on the computer, so I don't read shit, man. I listen to podcasts, and you're an entertaining guy. I could listen to you talk and read a book. I think that's great, man. I might actually check that audiobook out. So you can also find Marc at MenProvement.com writing for us some great articles. He's got a pretty funny one up there right now if you want to go check that out. But that's it, guys. You can get any girl you want, just by being a genuine guy, just by being yourself, but, a better version of yourself, a version of yourself that's went out for the past 3 months and approached over 200 girls, and that's faced his fears. That's still you, man, and that you can be that guy. So, make it happen, and maybe one day you'll be leaving the bar with 3 women. I plan on doing it someday. Thanks a lot, Marc, man. This has been awesome.
Hey, man, no problem. It's been fun.
All right, man. Take care, dude.
All right, man. Later.
Thanks for listening to the MenProvement Podcast with Sean Russell. Get more episodes, more tips, and download our free self-improvement ebooks at www.menprovement.com.